Chasing funding. Don't chase funding. Like before you need funding, go build your network, go build your relationships because if you seem desperate, nobody is going to give you money and no one's going to buy from you either. People can smell the desperation when you're trying to sell them products. It's okay to fail. I thought for the longest time that you hold on so tight to something and you don't, but then once you let it go, you realize like, okay, I can do this. Take deep breaths. And even if I can't do it, I'm not going to die. I'm going to be all right.
Everyone tells founder the same thing: raise venture capital, give up equity, hustle harder. But here's the truth that nobody talks about: most companies never needed to give away their vision in the first place.
Mm.
And what I will say is that the real hell is this brilliant founders, especially women, burning out, over dilute, and look out capital because they don't know the system is stacked. And that's why today's guest is someone you probably never heard framed this way. But I'm bringing Mollie Janner, CEO of Spring and Forge, and she helped founders unlock over $300 million in non-diluted capital. So that's money that doesn't cost your company. So she's now launching a grand platform that could change the way entrepreneurs, women, and leaders fund their future. So I want you to help me welcome Mollie. Mollie, I mean, I'm so excited to have you. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm excited to be here too. What an honor. I love the community that you're building and the amazing women that you're supporting and all the entrepreneurs. And yes, to your point, I love what you said. You do not have to give away your vision. That's the perfect way to put it. That's well said.
Yes, for sure. I mean, who else can speak about that more than you, right? I mean, and I think that most founders think the only way to grow is to give up equity or chase a venture capital. And I think that path often leave us exhausted or with little control of our own company. And I know you have helped many founders to find a different way. So we're gonna dig into your experience. I want to hear your story because you didn't follow the regular path. You started marketing. So tell me how Mollie started marketing and ended in the tech world. I would love to hear that story.
Gosh, it's a crazy one. I will say I think find the right people to learn from, and then just stay with them, and you learn all the things. You don't necessarily have to go to school for it. I did started marketing right out of college. I didn't study marketing in college. I just decided I liked it, and started going from there. And then you just keep people with you, as you network, and your network grows, and then your knowledge grows, and your opportunities grow. And I started to find myself in the aerospace and defense industries as well as tech, and I loved it. I love everything about defense tech, dual use tech. It really is exciting to me. And eventually, I found some really great people who are already running like federal consulting agencies, writing grants, and I started to learn from them. And I added that to, kind of my resume. And finally decided to launch Spring and Forge, go all in for my own business. You do this marketing and you help everybody else grow their businesses. And I was like, I can do this for myself. Let's try it. And so did that. And now here we are at Spring and Forge doing grants and non-dilutive capital and go to market and running that.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. What was the most breakthrough thing that happened to you during that transition? Tell me something that you are like you wish you would have known before, right? Because it's a completely different side of things.
Yes, it's okay to fail. I thought for the longest time that you hold on so tight to something and you don't, but then once you let it go, you realize like, okay, I can do this. Take deep breaths. And even if I can't do it, I'm not going to die. I'm going to be all right. Like it's going to be okay. And I think like realizing that for myself was huge just to be able to be a CEO. I mean, imposter syndrome, we could talk about that all day long, especially for women. I think who suffer from it disproportionately to men. Can I be a CEO? Do I know what I'm talking about? And it's like, yeah, I do. I could do this. And but realizing that was probably my biggest breakthrough because for a long time I did not believe even in myself, which is crazy to admit, but it's true.
Yes, I mean, it takes a lot of failures. And I always say, like, failures are the best mentors, right? They're the ones that really teach us the most. But you have to be willing to fail forward
Yes.
and have the conviction that no matter what, you're gonna succeed as far as you don't quit.
Mhm.
And to your point, Molly, it's finding or borrowing that confidence when you don't have it. And that's what I always do, right?
I
When I
like
don't have
that.
it, I'm gonna
Borrowing
borrow it from
confidence.
my cool girls
I
that
love
are
that.
supporting me. And because there's times that I don't feel like I can do this.
Mhm.
And having that voice next to you, having the right women around you is what really inspires me to continue to do what we do. Because as
Mhm.
you mentioned, we still dealing with the male dominated world, right? If we want to be old style and say it that way. And but it's so powerful when we find liaison together. And I think that's one of the things about I love about you. You have
Oh,
built bridges between storytelling and marketing and some of the hardest tech sectors on the planet. I mean, if you think about it, aerospace to defense to now launching a grand platform. Oh my God. When you look back, Molly, what was the moment that most surprised,
mhm.
like that's most surprised, even when you about where this path has taken you? What was that moment for you?
That's a great question. I would say honestly winning our biggest contract. So, winning that 50 million, it was a $50 million contract, having, with primes and subs, and actually winning that and having it come through and hit bank accounts, it was like, we're doing it. It's kind of like you like whisper it. You're like, oh my gosh, we're doing it. Because you write grants, and a lot of them are really small. They're not big, huge chunks of change. But then when you get a big one, it's like, what? Oh my gosh, we did this thing. Because it's really also about pulling all the right players in to win those big contracts. So it's like brokering relationships and managing egos sometimes, and then also stacking the tech appropriately. Like, is this a compelling offer? Does it make sense? And so that was really challenging and really exciting. And that was a big one for us.
Wow. I bet. I mean, I'm like, it's awesome, especially when you see it and it hits the account, you see that
Yep.
it's real. So, what did it take from you to go and apply for that grant? And also, how the process worked? Because I know you are an expert in this area too.
I mean, I wouldn't say expert, but I will say like I've been in it and I've lived it. And so I'll take it from two perspectives. There's grants and there's contracts. So grants are like SIBRs or sitters, so SBIRs for folks who are in the audience, are kind of those things put out by the DoD or the government, some agency that says, "Hey, we want you to build this specific thing." So you have to make sure that grants align with your product roadmap before you go apply for them, because you're going to be building something specific, and it's not a no strings attached money grab. Like, you're going to need to have like check-ins and show that you're building to this thing and use the money well. So that's grants. And they tend to be a lot smaller than the bigger contracts. So grants can be anywhere from 10,000 to $250,000 depending on the stage or the phase that you're in. And
Mhm.
then the contracts are the big ones that you guys hear about with like primes or subs. So the primes being the main company, and then the sub being someone who's rolling up under that prime. So an example of a prime is like Boeing, Raytheon, Airbus, Google, the big guys. And then there's the little guys like startups that have cool tech that augment whatever the prime is doing. And then they get placed on these hundreds of millions of dollars of contracts that these primes already have won. So those are really fun to piece together, because those are often more lucrative for the startups, and you can kind of be more flexible in what you're building.
Wow.
Hopefully that answers your question. I'm trying to like
Yes, I mean you have there's so many perspective we can bring, but I think that a lot of people are not familiar with the difference between those,
Yes.
and it's just bringing different opportunities for not only new innovative tech people, right? But I think that this is also giving access to women
Yeah.
to or underestimated leaders, Molly, in this industry, and I see you as a role model for them. So you being that role model, showing up, applying, getting the conviction, the confidence to do this is amazing. Are there any, like, how do you see access to capital shifting for founders today, especially for women?
That's a great question. Well, women only get 1% of the funding, and of that 1%, working parents, of which I am a part, get even less. And so you think about like what that looks like, and it's like a teeny little amount. And I think that there's a shift in the industry for more people to try and bootstrap, for more people who don't want to dilute, or I have to find alternative funding because the big players are not going to fund me. or they're
Mhm.
not going to hear me. And I think that that is really sad. It's definitely broken, but I see a lot of, especially female founders, going after grant funding because it's more equitable. It's out there for everybody and it's just open and it's based on your merit and your tech that you're building or whatever you're building. And so you win it based on that, not based on what room you're in smoking cigars. So just throwing that out there. But I will say that, grant funding is huge. There's also a lot of partnerships or capital, capital sponsored capital. So
Mhm.
I'll give an example of that. If, for example, you have something that could be really compelling to Raytheon has a whole scouting division that's dedicated to finding good new startup talent that they will then do pilot projects with and bring you on to help you build your tech. So there's a lot of ways to get fundraising. It's not just VC. There's family offices, which are tend to be a bit more friendly towards founders in terms of terms. There's angels. Um, there's also venture studios, which are really, really interesting. And those are having a moment. There's some really great people out there. JT Benton, I'll give him a shout out. He's running the Venture Studio Forum. It's
Mhm.
a collection of studios that help founders build for actual problems that are already out there that have been identified. And they build together and there's support and there's like teamwork there and you don't have to dilute. So there's a lot of options out there for people.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm perplexed because I mean, in the world raising capital, like for me, was simple because so many people know about raising capital in real estate, right?
Yeah.
Because it's been
Right.
done very often. And yes, I remember being broke, $35 on my account and finding in less than 30 days $1 million to fund multiple deals. And
Which is amazing, by the way. Like just a timeout, like that's incredible right there. Like that's a huge story.
Oh, oh, what we should talk about it one of these days too on how that happened. But it was, to your point, it was really having conviction
Mhm.
and knowing that this was the right path. And I think that there are many paths and many paths. Some of them will lead you to failure, and it's okay because it will redirect you to where you're supposed to be.
Yep.
But to your point, like there's so many options, yes, you have to try it, you have to go and hang out with people like you, Molly. But in the process of discovering all of this, and how to fund projects. What do you think are the biggest mistakes founders do or make when chasing funding, right? And what does a smarter path look like for them?
Yes, that's a great question. I'll go back to my marketing and sales roots. Are you solving a problem? Do people want what you're building? I think that's the first question everyone needs to ask. Everybody, oh, it's my baby. I'm building this thing, and everyone's going to want it. Do they want it though? Like, that's really important to ask yourself because if you can't drive revenue or even be pre-revenue, but have interest in the forms of like an LOI or people who've signed up for a beta, then ultimately what you're building is not going to be successful because there's so many VC funded companies that never are driving profit or revenue in any capacity and then they end up folding. It's all speculation. So I would say the first question you have to ask yourself is what problem am I solving and do people want to pay me for it? That's number one. And then I would say if you have traction, you can show that, then you're going to get better funding because there's good money and there's bad money. And it's out there. And I will also say that they can smell the desperation. So you said chasing funding. Don't chase funding. Like before you need funding, go build your network, go build your relationships because if you seem desperate, nobody is going to give you money and no one's going to buy from you either. People can smell the desperation when you're trying to sell them products too. And so those are the first two things I would say. And then as you're starting to think about funding, whether it's angels or VCs, just make sure that you know your term sheet. Make sure that you're getting the best deal ever. And it's a two-way street. It's an interview. You're interviewing them. Do you want them to be a part of your business? Because oftentimes it's going to be even longer than most relationships. And it's really tough to get out of it. Harder than a divorce. It's like you're in it. So you need to think about all of those things. And then lastly, I will say once you kind of have your funding strategy, definitely layer in grants and treat them almost like a new feature in your product roadmap. So apply for 3 or 4 a quarter and just have it as something that you do alongside all of your funding. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I'm doing all just grants because that's, it's tough to win grants. Oh, I'm just doing all VC. Try and do a mix of a bunch of things so that if one isn't successful, you still have some others kind of standing up your stool. I mean, 3 legs to a stool, I think is the saying, right? You want to have multiple forms of revenue. So that's what I would say.
Oh my God, golden nuggets. I love also the neediness part because I mean the technical parts you have to know your numbers, you have to know your term sheet and you have to really believe in your deal. But if you leave it to the point where to your like it's desperate because you don't have the money, then as you mentioned, the sharks comes. You're attracting the sharks and they can
Exactly.
smell blood and it becomes pretty challenging to build a relationship with them because now you feel you're in disadvantage and they
Mhm.
will make you feel that way too
Yes.
and push you to areas that your dream, what you wanted to do, the control you wanted to have, the leadership you wanted to
Mhm.
bring to the table to lead this, it becomes very challenging because now
Mhm.
it's someone else controlling. And as I always tell people, sometimes raising capital is not even the answer.
Yeah.
And yeah, and grants, yes, you need to apply to grants. You need to raise capital, as you mentioned. You need multiple ways to fund your dream. And
Right.
I love how you express those 3 points because they're so critical. Now, I'm going to ask you something about metrics because I was listening to some of your interviews and I was like, oh my God, you often talk about keeping a clean cap table and founder resilience. Can you tell me why are those two linked and what do you think, what emotional traps do founders fall into when it comes to ownership?
Mhm. Gosh, that's such a nuanced question. I'll start with the emotional piece first. Speaking from my own experience, I historically have been a people pleaser. And so it's like I want everyone to like me. I want everyone to let's make sure this is a happy thing. And so you give away pieces of your business just like you might give away pieces of yourself because you want people to do work for you. You feel like maybe you're not enough and you want to give them something in return for them helping you, right? And giving away your business is actually one of the most expensive things you can do, equity. I read the book, basically have the power to people don't not like you, right? It's like, which is it's a really good book. It's like, okay, understanding how to draw boundaries, how to be strong and have strength. And I think everybody should read that. I'll have to get the actual title, but it was really good. And it helped me realize that, hey, there's value in the things that I provide. There's value in the interaction and the exchange, and I don't have to give away. It doesn't have to be unequitable in the things I give away. So that's the emotional side of it. I see a lot of founders give, give, give. Here, take this. Oh, help me because they're desperate. Again, we're coming from a place of desperation. And then that affects resilience because if you're desperate, you're always coming from a scarcity mindset. You're never in the abundance and you're exhausted and you're tired and it takes a physical toll. And I see founders burn out all the time because they're always giving and they're never receiving. And then from the actual mechanics of it, I will say, especially early, it's easy to give away pieces of your company to get people to help you with things. Oh, they're going to help me build this app, or oh, they're going to help me with the marketing. I'll give them equity. But when you actually do go to raise, now that's fine if that's what you want to do, but when you do go to raise with real VCs and PE, whoever you're getting money from, it's really tough to rearrange the cap table when there's 30 people on it.
Yeah.
Because now we're diluting and we're doing this and we're doing the moving this here and all this person here and all those conversations and the egos and the, well, you promised me this and you promised me that is a headache. And also, it's a huge red flag for VCs, and they're not going to want to invest in your company if there's already 30 people on your cap table and you've been in business for 6 months. So just really reserve that equity for yourself and maybe one or two key stakeholders because you never know where it's going to go. I guess that's
Yeah.
what I was. Is that to answer your question?
It
Okay.
does, and it resonates so much, Molly, because I was one of those, not for the need, but for the desire to bring people on board
Yeah.
that I forgot the worth that and the value I was bringing to the company, and pretty much I gave around 66% of my equity and from those, like the value that they bring to the table, I was like, that wasn't the right thing to do, right? And that was one of my biggest lessons. And I hired a coach and we were talking, and she says, Jennifer, if you see someone extending their hand and not asking what they need to do and bring to the table to earn that keep, that's the first red flag. And I'm like, oh, because to your point, I'm a giver. I love
Yes.
like working with people, growing communities and everything. And I love getting into this mission of, hey, let's bring more people on board.
Mhm.
But sometimes I forget about that value. And that has been one of the toughest lessons for me, right? Because you put all of this work and you pour your heart, and then you figure out that you give away half or three-quarters of it, and you're like, okay. And it's not the money, is how you see it happening, and you're like, oh my God, right? It creates a ripple effect. Let's call it that way.
It's true. Yes, that's well said.
Yes, so that's amazing. I mean, another thing I want to ask you too is you have take all of this knowledge and now you have bring it to this point where you are expanding even into a platform. Talk to
Yes.
me about what is coming for you.
Oh gosh, I know it's nerve-wracking. I've never been a software CEO. I've always been in consulting. And so in the age of AI, I feel like if you're in consulting and you're not leveraging AI in some way, you're going to get left behind. I don't think I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, AI is taking your job, but like you need to be using it well so that you can scale faster. And so that was one of the reasons why we built this platform. It's called Wayraise. It's a part of Spring and Forge. We're launching in October. We already have 500 beta users using it. The beta has closed, so unfortunately, but if you hear this and you know Jen, like reach out to me and we'll work you in. But it's essentially doing everything we just talked about. It takes your company and it helps you identify all of the grants or contracts or government funding or foundation funding that's out there for you, and it aligns it to your fundraising needs. So it'll show you all the things you're eligible to apply for. It'll help you apply for those grants. So give you auto-gen proposal, help you with all those things. And then it also shows your funding journey, which I think is the most important part because people don't stop to ask themselves, should I apply for this grant? Like grants, oh, they sound amazing, but should you apply for that grant? One, is it good for your product roadmap or your funding journey? Let's illuminate that. And two, are you going to win that? What's your probability of winning that grant? Because so much effort goes into applying for grants. There's a cost. There's also an operating cost if you win it. So you need to be prepared for those things. And so that's what the product does. And yeah, so I'm excited. We'll see how it goes, and we're going to launch, and hopefully it helps a lot of people kind of navigate this process.
Yes, no, for sure. I'm super excited too. I'm like, oh my
Thank
God, I
you.
want to see more. So, who can benefit the most out of this platform, Molly?
Probably founders. We're pricing it so that it's for founders. You know, it's just how do we make grants even more equitable? How do we make government contracts more equitable? How do we show everybody what you can do? Because I believe that there is no shortage of talent. It's the shortage of opportunity. And so if we can show people who are very talented, who have companies, the opportunity to get funded, then they can take advantage of it. And so that's the intention.
That's amazing. Molly, when I heard you talking about this platform, I was blown away.
Thank
And I
you.
was like, how she came up with that idea? Is there like a story behind this?
Well, actually, yes. There's a couple people that I owe a lot of this to. There's this amazing gentleman. I'm not going to name him. He's very secretive, very private person. But I've known him for a while, and he's one of the most brilliant grant strategists I've ever met in my entire life. I mean, he's won billions of dollars in grant funding. And he wants to kind of be done with all of that. And he was like, what if we could like do this but use AI, like me, but AI. So basically like taking his brain and like turning it into a platform. And he gave the idea and then like he disappeared. Like he's gone. He travels the world. It's like, he's gone and around. But he's kind of been advising ever so often in on the project. But basically, how do we take the foremost grant strategists and put it into a platform so that you can be talking to them one on one? And that's really the intention. And then also, talking to founders every day. How do I get my SAM? How do I register on SAMs? What grants can I apply for? Like that question popped up all the time, and I was like, this is a problem that we can maybe solve. So
Yeah,
That's where it came from.
wow. I'm telling you, like, I'm super, super excited. I know so many people will be using this platform, and I'm
Hope
looking
so.
forward to continue to support you. I
Thank
knew
you.
that there was a reason. I'm like, she's brilliant. What
Oh,
happened there?
you're kind.
So, but now let's talk about Molly. You have done all of these great things in business, growing in marketing. But tell me about Molly. Who is Molly? What Molly loves to do?
That's a great question. I love to garden and I have bees and I love my bees. I have three amazing little boys, an amazing husband, and six, three, and one. So if I have extra bags under my eyes, everybody knows why. I'm so tired. But I love being with them. We love being outside and we're building our house. I don't know if anyone's built a house. We started in a camper and we've built it kind of around us the last 4 years. And it's been a pain in the booty, I'll tell you that. But I've learned a lot. Like I found myself like Googling like drywall textures and how do you spray texture your wall? And like, we're doing all of it ourselves. And it's been really cool in the sense that I feel like we're in such a building phase of life, like building our family and building our house and building businesses. And so it's been kind of fun to be the builder for the last couple of years.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. It's just you keep giving me things to ask
Oh
you about
no.
because it's amazing. I mean, being a continuing, I mean, you create every day and you go into you do different things, you continue to do these things, but there's also that moment that a time that you almost gave up in something, but there was a spark that kept you moving. Tell me a story about when that happened for you, because going through so many changes, continuously building, I can see this happening
I
often.
mean, I can get really real. I feel for us, like our family, we built our family and it's really unconventional. So we had a really hard time having babies, and every baby we did have or was a miracle. We've lost a couple children in the process. And I think most women have stories similar to that. They just don't talk about it. It's very stigmatized. And I would say, like, at the point where we lost our daughter, I wanted to give up all of it. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. We have one son, like I'm done. And I will tell you, I had this moment. We were sitting on a playground watching my son play, and I saw this beautiful family of four kind of playing, and I was like, I just feel like we're not done. Like we can do this. It was that spark of like the hope and the dream, and you see it, and you're like, we can do this thing. And God is so faithful and good, and He's definitely been a huge part of that spark. He is the spark for us, and so anyway, we went down the path of adoption. Then I got pregnant because that happens. You like, oh, this is impossible. And then you're doing adoption, you've forgotten about it, and like, surprise. And then we did end up adopting our 1-year-old. And we'll hopefully adopt one more and have our family of four. And I believe that it can happen now. It's like we've seen it happen over and over again. But I would say that that's the spark, especially for our family. And my kids are really my reason why I do anything.
Um,
And so that's probably like the thing that keeps me going all the time in every way. So I know that maybe it's too personal for your podcast, so feel free to edit this part out.
no, not at all. I'm not. I'm not. This is real. We keep it authentic. We have real conversations
Yeah.
here. That's why I
Yeah.
ask those
Well, and
questions.
I'm an open book, and I know that a lot of women struggle with this, and I'm very,
Yes.
very, very passionate about I'm a resource. So if anybody is going through that tough time, please reach out to me. Like I would love to chat if I can support or encourage or help in any way, like because it's not something that people talk about, and it's hard, especially to do it
Yes.
alone.
Yes. I mean, to your point, it takes so much resilience. And I think that as women, we don't take the time to renew our spark.
Yeah.
And sometimes it diminishes so much, and we don't find, if we don't talk about it, if we don't share between us and share the experiences, it's
Mhm.
hard to ignite that spark again. And
Yes.
yes, it's just a new energy when women are willing to talk about the things that we should not talk about.
And
From
stand with each other in support.
yes,
That's so important. I love, and that's
yes.
what you're doing is so cool. I love what you're building in your community and all the
Oh,
amazing women that are a part of it. Because going back to earlier in the conversation, you said borrow confidence. And
yeah.
I think that's exactly what we're talking about right now. How do I gift a woman who's struggling my energy for even a day so that they can make it to the next day?
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think that's why we love to hang out so much with each
I
other.
know.
I think that the guys out there cannot relate sometimes because they operate differently, but I know that sometimes they tell me that they're jealous that we have these kind of connection and conversations and that our real office is in the back room
Yes,
when
it's very true.
when we connect with each other, we there to talk about these things. We must. And I love how you are sharing too the resilience. Resilience is so critical, especially as a founder, as a capital raiser, as an investor. I mean, there's so many things that you have to go through and pivot quickly in order to be successful. That resilience is one of those skills, whether you get it through family and your inspirations and your spark is through family, you just must do it for them, bring your A game for them, even if you cannot find it for you. Because as women, I think that's our biggest challenge. We're more willing to do it for someone else than ourselves. And yeah, that's why it's so important. Yes. So talking about the spark, Molly, because I think we can have a little bit of fun with this. You're a creator too, and we're in the capital area, and I'm actually I'm gonna start putting again my class of raising capital, the race rapid method, and magnetize the millions. But I would love to ask you this: if you could design a new rule of capital, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. That's that's such a hard question. I would say maybe I actually don't know. Maybe like more opportunity for people to partner. I love the idea of the syndicate. I just learned about that actually. I didn't know that that was even a thing. Like in real because real estate's not new. It's not something I've really spent a ton of time in. And I love the idea of that. I'm like, how do we create that for companies? Like, how do we create like
Yes.
a syndicate, like to invest in companies? Maybe there already is something that exists like this, and I don't know it. But I think I love the idea of group partnership and almost
Yes.
crowdfunding. That would be probably where I would go with it.
Yes, I mean, I love that idea. And in fact, we are talking about a group of women that have a lot of experience investing. To your point about the diligence, right?
Yes.
Because, and how do you invest? Because there's the women who has the money,
Mhm.
and to be open, right? Women are projected to control over half of the wealth by 2030.
Yeah.
So this is the time that women needs to start learning, because women listening, they have to figure out that it's time to step in their own power, because they're
Yep.
going to get these capital, and some of them will love to place it in something that they believe that align with who they are, with their values. And yes, you do all of that, and also there's a technical side, right, to protect that capital too. And when you do it in a group, syndicates is one way. Crowdfunding is part of that syndications. And a lot of women don't know about syndications because it was these kept secret for so long, only available for the wealthy. And now that it's out there, it's more open to more women. It has given access to more women. So I love that. And definitely, I mean, we need to keep the audience up to date when we launch this, and
Yes.
invite them, right, to join us, and how to do this. Um, because that's, I think it's is where I see
Yeah.
women doing this. And I don't know if this is your perspective, Molly, but the reason why I love attracting women to invest in these syndications in real estate, and even learn from partnership in other type of assets,
Mhm.
it's because when we invest, we tend to do it not only for the money, but for the community, because we
Yes.
always have a purpose. And I don't know, have that been your experience in the venture capital world, working with women?
Yes, with women, yes, for sure. There's a couple absolutely amazing women who are focused on this. Annika Lammers is one. She's amazing. She's in Amsterdam and Portugal, and she actually coaches VCs on how to be better. She's fantastic. And there's a couple amazing women who invest specifically for the purpose and the cause of it.
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. And I love that. And but I mean I also see the other side of it. You know,
Yeah.
it's just numbers, it's just a business, and that happens regardless of gender.
Yeah.
And but I will say that in my limited experience on kind of the venture studio side, venture studios are perfect for female founders because we're building in groups, we're building together, we have that support. And I can't talk and say enough good things about venture studios. So if you are a female founder looking to build, like find a good venture studio. I know Carolyn Kendall is amazing. I'm throwing her name out there. She runs a bunch of venture studios out of Israel and in the States. And so please check that out.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I so want to look forward for all of these ladies because I know
Yes.
that we need a lot of help, right? To and different ways to not only invest our money and capital, but also improve our communities. And at the end, I always say we don't run a charity, but that doesn't mean you cannot make good money and
Right.
make a difference. And that's a direction that no matter what you do, it cannot go wrong.
Hmm.
It's
Exactly.
just, yeah, it's based on a mission, but without forgetting, we have to sustain it and so forth. It needs to generate money.
Yes.
So, yeah. Molly, one last thing.
Okay.
If you could leave one spark of wisdom for every founder and funder, right? Founder and funder listening today, what would it be?
That's a tough one. We're all people, and your network is your greatest asset. So start now and make it authentic, really genuine, not just meeting people to meet people, but like really genuinely looking to give before you receive, and will help you build your network faster, and make it good, I think.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, what do
Definitely.
I say? I don't know.
Well, that's the amazing thing. It just comes, and that's the first thing that sparked that comes in your wisdom, and you nail it. I mean, it's make sure that you give. This is a relationship building, right? And when we open our hearts and our giving perspective, it just opened the path for abundance too. And it's just magnetized things. And it's been the biggest lesson for me, right? I always tell people like I start seeking wealth, and through wealth I start looking or seeking for wisdom, and through wisdom I found the higher power, and for me that's God. And it showed me that having that open giving source and perspective and love and knowledge and sharing ideas is what really made me a person who magnetized money, because I
Yes.
know what it means to give, and I see money for what it is, just a resource, it's a tool. And if we can store that tool properly and that capital, then things can grow and multiply. And I think that as women, we're great at that.
I feel like
So,
that deserves like a standing ovation. That's a great way to close it up. Like, wow, that's yes, exactly what you said.
oh my God, Molly, it's such a pleasure to have you with us today. I really appreciate your time joining us. And I know the women listening and the guys too, right? To these show, they will appreciate all your great insights. Now, what I will do, is there's a way that people can connect with you? And I will make sure I put it down in the description
LinkedIn
so
is the
people
best
can
way.
find
I'm
you.
probably on there more than I should be, but LinkedIn, definitely reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let's
Perfect.
connect.
Awesome. Well, thank you again,
Thank
Molly, for
you.
your time.
Thank you so much.